Ahoy folks, Craigo here for Pure Xbox with our review of Disney's Epic Mickey Rebrushed, a ground-up remaster of the Nintendo Wii classic. But before we crack on, this one was written by Fraser Gilbert for PureXbox.com and adapted by me. Now, hopefully you'll forgive us for not having that much experience with the original Disney Epic Mickey for Nintendo Wii, as although the sequel arrived on Xbox 360 in 2012, Xbox fans have never been treated to the first entry in this series until now. It's been a long wait, but the good news is that developer Purple Lamp has added more than just a lick of paint to this excellent 2024 remake for Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S. For those of you who never got to play the Wii version, Disney Epic Mickey Rebrushed revolves around a world full of forgotten Disney characters who are plagued by a monstrous force known as the Blot, after Mickey accidentally spills paint and thinner onto their magical realm. Mickey then gets himself sucked into the world himself and embarks upon a journey to try and return to his homeland. It's a really cool premise that makes for a decent story, and the actions you take in this world affect the narrative, leading to multiple endings that you could run into. The gameplay is reminiscent of a fairly simple 3D platformer aside from the occasional 2D style side-scrolling sections, with plenty of jumps to make, basic puzzles to solve, and a variety of enemies to dispose of. There's also a unique element in terms of the paintbrush that Mickey wields, with the right trigger being used to paint things and the left trigger being used to add thinner. The thinner is really useful for uncovering hidden areas, while paint can be used to create new ledges or activate machines that can help you progress to the next stage of the level. And on top of all of that, your paintbrush can be used to attack enemies as well, but the way in which you use your paintbrush may change how the story develops later on. Most of the story takes place within an intentionally gloomy wasteland that might not impress Mickey very much, but it certainly had a glow up compared to its Nintendo Wii counterpart. You just wouldn't know that this game was 14 years old at first glance, and that's because Purple Lamp has gone back and rebuilt the entire thing from scratch, literally including every single asset. It looks great across the board as a result, and in our experience, it runs extremely smooth at 4K and 60 frames per second on Xbox Series X. This is how you do a faithful remake, folks. Some of the gameplay improvements are particularly impressive as well. Looking back at the Nintendo Life review of Disney Epic Mickey for the Wii, one of the things that they were extremely critical about was the awkward camera, which is no longer an issue in this remake. The motion controls for the paintbrush have been translated into the triggers and analog sticks very effectively, and they've gone ahead and added some brand new features such as the ability to sprint and ground pound. There are still a couple of things that we're not so keen on though. As great as the premise is for Disney Epic Mickey's story, the lack of voice acting really drags it down at times. There's a big moment fairly early on where Mickey meets Oswald, the lucky rabbit, for the first time, and it should be a momentous moment for the narrative, but all you hear in the background is repetitive grunts while you read some text at the bottom of the screen. We get it, the original didn't have much voice acting, but it's hard to shake the feeling that the story suffers from this missed opportunity. The other big glaring thing is that as much as this is a fun platformer and an excellent remake, it's still a 2010 Nintendo Wii game at heart, and charging $60 for it at launch just feels like a stretch. We've enjoyed our time with this game without a doubt, but we're still not sure whether or not we'd cough up full price for it. It's just too expensive for us. Perhaps if it was charging $30, $40, then we might entertain buying it instead. The original Disney Epic Mickey was a good game that evidently suffered from an issue or two on the Wii, and that has been successfully thinned and repainted in Disney Epic Mickey Rebrushed. We're really impressed by just how much effort has gone into this remake, especially the new visuals, and although it's arguably a bit too pricey at launch, there's definitely fun to be had here with this one if you're a Disney fan or just a fan of platforming games in general. Disney's mascot earns a solid 8 out of 10 from us, and that about wraps it for Fraser's review. Short and sweet, just like our lovable mouse. However, I'd like to add a few personal thoughts before we close. Although this is a remake of an older game that many of us have played, like Fraser, this was my first proper experience with the Epic Mickey series. I went in with zero expectations and ended up falling in love with it. I'll admit I'm the kind of person who, when not creating core memories at Disneyland Paris, is dreaming of my next trip back. Yes, I'm a classic Disney adult, and Epic Mickey felt like fan service cranked up to 11 for amusement park fans like myself. Booting up Disney Epic Mickey Rebrushed on my Xbox Series X in a stuffy office doesn't quite match the magic of eating cotton candy on the way to Thunder Mountain. However, the finesse with which Purple Lamp has brought to life these uncanny wasteland versions of Main Street, Adventureland, and other iconic Disney locations is impressive. Although Epic Mickey's original composer Jim Dooley doesn't seem to be involved with Rebrushed, the soundtrack is stellar. It's filled with nods to the iconic sights and sounds of Disney World, adding to the game's immersive experience. Disney's Epic Mickey Rebrushed may still show signs of age in some ways, but I found myself continuing to play even when I didn't have to. Going back to complete side quests, collect every piece of concept art, and simply spend more time with Mickey is exactly what the game encourages, and I'm all for it. Well, that about does it for me. Thanks for listening, and all that's left to say is bye-bye for now. Cheerio!